Hello everyone, thank you for joining me on the $5 Journey YouTube channel. Also check me out on Twitter at Anomaly 197711. You can also reach me on Facebook, the $5 Journey page, as well as hitting me up at Outlook at my email address. That's anomaly1977@outlook.com. I will be sure to put those addresses in the caption below. Also feel free, of course, to leave any sort of comments. I love good discussion on finances. We can talk about politics, any of that kind of stuff. So feel free to check me out on all those different places and reach out to me whenever you get a chance. I also have budget spreadsheets that I send around to people. I don't think I've mentioned it for a little while now, but if you are interested in working on your budget, maybe seeing some areas where you can be more efficient as far as your spending, as far as your saving, as far as all that kind of stuff, reach out to me and I will email to you a budget spreadsheet. It's in Excel format. It has all these different cool formulas in it, so it takes a lot of the work out of what you may have to do, all right, as far as figuring out different kinds of bills and things like that. A lot of that stuff is really written in there, okay, and the formulas are there also, which make things really, really easy. You just really have to put in a dollar amount and the budget spreadsheet does the rest, okay? So that's what's going on there. What I wanted to talk to you about, I wanted to mention, this is kind of like an intro to REITs, all right? REITs stands for, it's R-E-I-T, a REIT. That's Real Estate Investment Trust. What a real estate investment trust is. Now, okay, how does this tie into the $5 Journey? Okay, well, a REIT is a passive form of income, right? So you invest your money into this thing, this REIT. I'm going to explain in another minute. And they give you a rate of return. They give you interest rate of return on the money that you invest. So, for instance, some real estate investment trusts will give you a return of 8%, some 10%, some 12% per year. Now, what does that mean? That means that if you invest $1,000 in a REIT, then you will gain 12% per year. But remember, it's compounded. Okay, so we're working with compound interest. All right, so that's really, when we talk about the $5 Journey, I want you guys to be able to take the money, the extra money that you're getting from your side hustle, from compounding hustle, from those kinds of things, maybe budgeting even. I want you to take that money and I want you to invest it with something. This is one of those investment vehicles that you can use, a REIT, R-E-I-T, Real Estate Investment Trust. All right, now, what a real estate investment trust is it's basically it's a company that purchases income producing real estate. Okay, so what do I mean by income producing? I mean, they're making real estate, or they purchase real estate that is, it's not like somebody's it's not for their own personal living. It's not like they're buying a one-family house and they're gonna stay there and that's it. No, these may be one-family houses, but it's a real estate investment, meaning that they are gaining money from that. Okay, and they can gain money through rents. They can gain money through buying and selling it. So there's those kinds of ways. There's probably other ways they can make money from it. I'm just not real estate savvy enough to know all those ways. But definitely through rentals and leasing, and also through buying and selling. All right. Now, so a real estate investment trust, basically what that is it is that company that generates money off of real estate. But what they do is they do something called crowdfunding, right? And I think you guys probably have heard that kind of term before. And what that is let's say there are 10 people who may want to invest in real estate. They don't want to deal with the headache of owning real estate per se, and the day-to-day having to collect rent from tenants and having to deal with municipalities, ordinances, was the garbage set out properly, that kind of stuff. All right, so but they still want to reap the benefits, the financial benefits that come along with real estate. So what would happen is you have a REIT that comes along and says to these 10 different people, hey, we are a REIT. We invest in these, multi-family kind of properties, 100 unit properties, 200 unit properties. These are multi-million-dollar properties. Here's our track record of what we've done throughout the last however many years. Would you like to put your money in with us? And typical returns are 10%. Now, here's the thing. With a REIT, they will probably tell you that a typical return is XYZ because they're basing it off the numbers, the profits, and everything from the past. But just because, here's where the risk is. Just because these profits were made in the past doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to be made in the future. So make sure you do your research on the actual REIT, okay? And remember, I'm not a financial advisor. I am not a stockbroker. I'm not any kind of a CPA. I'm not any of those things, all right? Just a person who's just sharing his own personal experience, his knowledge, and that's it. So I would say definitely make sure you do your research in the REIT, okay? Now, so let's say the REIT comes and asks these 10 investors, okay, well, come invest with us. We do, we all have all these great deals, and typically we give 10% return on the money that's invested. Well, so, each of the 10 investors, one investor may put in I'm jumping the gun a little bit. Actually, the owners of the REITs or the people who are running it, the company who's running it will say, okay, minimal investment is X, Y, and Z. Let's say for example, it's $1,000 is a minimum investment. So the REIT would go to these different investors and would say, yeah, invest with us. And so one investor might invest $1,000, another $3,000, another $8,000, another $20,000, so on and so forth. Okay, now, and based off of the money that they give, they will get back a certain percentage of profit, of interest paid on their money. All right, now, REITs are great, especially for people who really enjoy real estate. You are getting all of a good portion of the potential profits of real estate ownership without a whole lot of the headaches, because all you're doing is putting your money into this financial vehicle and having it grow from there, having it financially progress from there. Now you say to yourself, okay, Anomaly, John, whatever you want to call yourself today, that sounds wonderful. But $1,000, I mean, that's a lot of money. Two things. One is I'm going to put a link below the video on some of the on two of the REITs that I invest with that have that up to this point have given positive gains. Okay, so I'm going to put those two. Really, it's the two are Realty Mogul and Fundrise. All right, so any one of those, Realty Mogul, Fundrise, I can definitely attest to those. They have been performing very well. I've been getting it anywhere from an 8 to 10, 12% return. Okay, so they up to this point. All right. Now I don't know what tomorrow will bring, but I'm just sharing up to this point. So it's been pretty good. I mean, I own pieces of real estate without the headache of dealing with real estate, and in return, I've been getting profits from one of them is quarterly. The other one is I've been getting like semi-annually. Either way, the money's coming in, and I don't have to do anything for the money. Okay. Now some of you say, okay, well, this is expensive. It's $1,000. I mean, I barely have, $2 nickels to rub together for heat at the end of every month. So how am I going to do this? Well, how are you going to do this? Great question. That's where your side hustle comes in. Okay, that's where your $5 per day comes in. All right, because what you can, and remember, this is not a get rich quick overnight kind of thing. I mean, you're building up. Now, can you become very wealthy, in a matter of a short period of time? Absolutely. You get into the right real estate deal, I mean, your life will turn around like that. Okay, your life as far as your finances go, whatever other stuff you have going on, because sometimes we have so much craziness going on that $10 million is not going to turn it around. It's going to turn it upside down. In other words, it's going to make it even worse. I mean, one of the things I say in regards to money is, I don't think money makes people good or evil. Okay, I think one of the things that I've seen is that if you have evil inside you, okay, if you have a lot of, and when I say evil, I'm not talking about like, yeah, we're all human, we're all prone to error, and we're all prone to, to different things, I'm talking about like, you're not a nice person, okay? On some level, maybe, you say hi to people and you maybe crack a few jokes and stuff like that. And as long as people don't get to know you too well, then you're okay, But when people start to get to know you for a little bit, you guys know what I'm talking about. It's that person at the job when they first came on board, they did well as far as interviewing, and, maybe you guys went out to lunch a couple of times, and they seemed cool, but then you started noticing certain idiosyncrasies, certain habits that they had that was kind of like, well, all right, maybe this is a one-off thing, but then you keep noticing it, right? And then you want to start distancing yourself, and you're like, oh, what, man, I was fooled about this person. This person is a complete and utter jerk, well, I'll share a really brief story. I know I always say things are brief and then it's long, but really brief story. It was a person I knew, and cool guy, really cool guy, and it was like a work good, pretty good work relationship. And I just dealt with him on the job, and that was pretty much it. Well, I didn't know that he was a huge in the closet drinker. But also the thing was that he had I don't know what it's called. I'm not a psychologist, but he had some sort of paranoia thing that would go on, so every now and again at the company picnics and stuff like that, I would see him, and I would see him and his fiance at the time, and they were friendly people, like I said, friendly folk. And I remember receiving a text message one day from this guy talking about his fiance. He wasn't going to be able to come to work if I could relay the message to his manager, because his fiance hit him across the face with an iron. I'm like, what? You know how you get those weird text messages and you look, you're like, well, this is weird. You have to relook. Okay, did the person mean to send this to me? So, I sent the text back. I said, are you okay? Is everything all right? Because I'm thinking this is like a one-off kind of situation. He's like, yeah, on the way to the hospital, this, that, and the other. So, I mean, it was definitely troubling me, but I didn't really I kind of took it to be a one-off kind of thing. Well, over the next month or so, I was getting crazy text messages from the guy, and each one was weirder and crazier, and then I started thinking to myself, this is a normal thing for this guy, and probably for his fiance also. Now, what happened was, there was some sort of issue. He ended up getting into an accident, okay? Now, the accident, thank goodness he was able to recover from the accident. Now, when I say accident, I mean, I'm talking about auto vehicle accident, whatever. So anyway, so he was able to recover from the accident, but there was this giant lawsuit. He received, I don't know how much he received, but it was a few $1 million from the lawsuit. And, I was glad to see that he was up, able to get back to work and stuff like that. So he received his settlement of a few $1 million. And I'd say maybe the next day, he started not coming into work on time and things like that, and not even not coming into work on time, because everyone gets stuck in traffic. Everybody is late, people come in late, whatever. So I'm not knocking that. I do the same thing. I'm stuck in traffic right now, actually. I won't be late, but I'm stuck in traffic. But anyways, so he started, he was coming in late. This was the day after he received his settlement. And so, I'm thinking okay, well, stuck in traffic, maybe he stayed up partying a little bit, him and his fiance. Well, he started doing no call, no show for work. He just wouldn't come in. And I remember his manager, had asked if I had heard from him, because he hadn't heard from the dude in a couple of days. I was like, no, I haven't heard from him. Let me shoot him a text and see if he's okay, because I knew that these situations would happen with him and his fiance. But, I don't like to get in people's personal business like that. So, anyway, so I send him a text asking, is everything okay? Are you all right? And I said, your manager was asking about you, right? So he said, yeah. He said, yeah, everything's fine. I'll straighten my manager out. And I'm thinking to myself, well, straighten your manager out? That's a weird way of putting it. Because, well, it's not your manager's fault. Your manager didn't do anything wrong. Was just trying to see if you were okay. I mean, really, you probably should have been fired. I mean, if you're doing no call, no show. I mean, this was a professional setting. So anyways, fast forward, he comes in the next day. Now, I was working in a lab at the time. In order to get to the lab where I was doing work at, I had to walk by his manager's office, and he was in the office. So he walked in the office with where his manager was, and I hear the door slam. And so then I walk back. I'm walking past to my lab, and I hear him screaming at his manager, cursing him out and everything. And before this, I only knew the guy to be a mild-mannered person. So he's cursing him out, and I go to my lab, because I'm trying to mind my business. I go to my lab, and I'm doing my thing. I'm there with my pipettes and trying not to blow anything up. And he comes knocking on the glass window, because we had this glass window that you could see inside. So he knocks on the glass window. I'm looking up, I'm trying to concentrate. I'm looking up. I have my, space goggles on, for my lab wear and everything. And I'm looking up, and he's motioning me, come on out. So I'm like, okay. I put down my stuff. I have to take off your lab stuff. I go outside, and he starts cursing in the hallway. He starts getting loud and everything. And I told him, I said, listen, I was like, calm down. We're at the job. But he's going crazy. He doesn't care. And he's saying, well, I quit today. Right? Now, why am I telling you this? I'm telling you this because I know I started off talking about REITs. But one of the things that I want to say is that when you are progressing financially, when you're seeing more money come in, as you grow financially, try to grow also, in character. Okay, if you if you have some crazy tendencies, if you're depressed, or if you're you tend to lose it, you tend to fly off at the handle, these things about yourself. Try to get them in check as you're growing financially, because money doesn't necessarily cause you to become bad, but money definitely accentuates and brings out and accelerates any craziness that might be on the inside, any sort of evil that might be on the inside. So just make sure that you do your part to get yourself together. Don't be like my coworker who already had some craziness obviously going on in his life and got that money and then started acting even crazier. All right, now fast forward with him. Let me finish off this story. He started getting heavily into drugs. Now, before, he was smoking weed. All right, but after he got that money in, because that was his last day at the job, and him and his fiance, they stayed home, and they they moved from smoking weed to using cocaine. And he would contact me in his inebriated stupor, and he'd be rattling off something. He never got nasty with me. Honestly, I can't say that, but I've seen him get nasty with other people, and honestly, his life just went spiraling out of control. If you read up on some of those lottery winners, and some of them will tell you, and I'm talking about the ones that have made multi-million dollars in the lottery. Some of them will tell you that their life went to straight up hell after winning the lottery, because what happened was that money didn't allow for the best to be brought out in them. It gave them room, it gave them the power to bring out the worst in them. So that's one of the things. Just be careful of that. REITs are definitely a great financial tool to have. You're going to start off, with your $5 a day, maybe more. You're going to build. That's what you're going to do. You're going to, keep that $5 in your Acorns account, or in your stash account, or one of those financial vehicles that you can start up with only $5. All right, and then you're going to build up, and then you're going to diversify. You're going to diversify your portfolio, okay? So you're going to put some money into a REIT. You're going to put some money into other mutual funds, some money into maybe your own real estate purchases, some money into maybe your own business, okay? But I just really wanted to give a quick introduction to REITs. They are basically, it's basically a company that invests in income generating property. You come in with your dollar amount as an investor in that company. All right, and in return, you get passive, a passive cash flow from there. You'll receive a return on the money that you put in. Most likely. Do your research though, okay? I hope you all enjoyed this. Make sure you leave some comments below. If you have any questions about REITs, I'm probably not the person to ask. No, I'm just joking. You can ask me about any of those things. All right. But I hope you got something from this. Thank you, and continue along this journey of financial progression, $5 at a time. Thanks. Bye.